threw it at
So-
you.
So tell me again, Dave, about the anti-bear device that your boss has, because I think we need to talk about this.
By
So,
the sounds of thing, yeah, go on.
So my boss is sitting outside with a 12 gauge loaded with beanbag shells to
Well,
fire
so first
at
off-
a little nuisance bear.
First off,
In the dark,
Dave says,
and it's a black bear.
Hey, halfway through this, I might have to stop because my boss is sitting out there. I'm like, okay.
He's in his car.
And then he says, with a shotgun. And I was like, okay. And he goes, in his car. And I was like, what in the fuck is going on? He's on bear patrol. He's looking
Yeah.
for bears. And not the kind that walk on 2 feet and read American Grizzly magazine. We're talking the furry kind that walk on 4 legs and eat berries.
No, like
Yeah.
the woodland creature
Like the
type,
woodland
not the
creatures.
furry kind. There's not some loose furry running around the fucking campground that they're trying to shoot with beanbags.
No, I wouldn't say. I'm not talking about like the furry community as like the community. I'm talking like bears are furry because they have fur.
Speaking of that, so little bear tangent. There's a part of Canada that also uses Smokey the Bear, I think, but they wanted to upgrade it because Smokey the Bear's whole thing was only you could prevent forest fires, and they're like, well, that's kind of like now we just have to live with forest fires. That's something you can really prevent now, and so they have a new mascot, and it's Ember the Fox, and it's a furry.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
Sexualize the fire there. So yes, Dave's boss is sitting with a beanbag gun to fight a nuisance bear.
Yeah. Well, it's a 12 gauge. It's gonna shoot it pretty hard.
So
It's a 12 gauge
naturally,
round. It looks like a normal shotgun round.
I brought up the fact that those don't stop people from charging during a riot, and that a bear is bigger than a people.
Well, hey, this is what Parks and Wildlife gave to us to scare off the bear. And I will say it's a young juvenile bear. It's a little guy. He gets popped, he's gonna run away. He ain't coming back. There's an apple tree out there that he's trying to get at, and it's.
Why don't
I
you
was
just
within
get
about
rid of the
20 feet
apples?
from them the other day. Well, they're gone now. They ate them
Jesus.
all, but there's still
Yeah.
some on the ground that we've picked up most of it. They're still coming around. There's crab apple trees around that they're gonna go for. There's all kinds of shit.
So when you're fighting a bear with a beanbag gun, I think the only places you can aim are like the neck and the balls, and that's
Yeah,
the only
no
time
shit.
it's gonna,
Or like
the
hit it in the
asshole.
fucking eyeball or something, like incapacitate, either incapacitate or make it so it doesn't want to fucking come back.
Unless these are quote unquote metal BBs inside of the beam gun.
No comment.
Just one large.
Next
2-inch.
episode, Dave's gonna have like a little bearskin hat.
Oh no, it's a young bear. We don't want to.
He's gonna be real close to the camera, like I
Yeah,
killed
that's why I
one.
said
Like,
it was-
okay, you killed the hooker. This
Yeah.
isn't. This
It was
the
gonna
worst
be a
things-
hat, not a jacket.
I won with the panda bear.
We're just trying to scare it off.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's right.
Oh my god. Well, we're not talking.
well-
This is not a natural disaster podcast. I was gonna say National Geographic, but disaster came out first. It's not national. It's one of those.
National
they're in a-
Geographic.
And I
It's
should
a Mandela effect thing. Okay, just leave it alone. National Geographic.
Also
Podcast.
say that we do not support violence against animals for no reason. They are trying to scare this bear away.
Yes,
Yeah,
we don't want it
because
coming
it's
back
shitting
and
in the
interacting
park.
with people.
Yeah, and that's
But-
gross. You gotta clean up bear
Well,
shit.
the other night, the first night I showed up was Friday night, and Annie and I were getting off of work, and I walk out and it's up in the tree, and I got too close. I was probably within 20 feet from this thing while it was up
The-
in the tree.
The bear
Yeah.
was in the fucking tree.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
up
Have
in
you
the
ever
apple
played
tree.
Assassin's Creed, Dave?
Bears don't go in trees in Assassin's Creed. What are you
No,
talking
but
about?
you assassinate people by jumping down on top of them.
Oh yeah,
That
that's
bear was
perfect.
He was
That's
you
aerial.
were his next target.
Aerial strikes,
What the
man.
hell- the hell are you gonna do in
Anyway,
Florida?
yeah,
You were
he showed
really-
up, and there was people like walking around, and we're like, "Go back, go back! There's a freaking bear here."
I'm like, oh, let me see the bear. I'm like, oh no, this is one of those bears.
Well, yeah, that's
that,
the
like,
other problem.
goes
We had
right
people
for your
coming up.
genitals.
Yeah.
We had people coming up, like getting close, taking pictures. It's like, get the fuck away. We want this thing to go away.
You're gonna miss that bear in Florida when you walk outside and there's fucking alligators and iguanas staring at you like it's Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds.
Well,
Ooh,
I'm gonna be in the Keys on the coast, so no gators. I'll be okay from gators.
I'm pretty sure
bull
that
sharks, hammerheads, tigers.
iguanas
they're
are
out
an
there.
invasive species in Florida, and you can kill them without any, just like with righteous indignation. It's
And a
some
hammer,
big lizard.
probably.
It might be an iguana. I think it's an iguana.
I think it's iguanas, yeah.
Yeah.
They've
You
got,
could just kill 1,000 of them, and then you
might
would
be
get paid money.
monitors.
Dave's
No,
gonna show
I
up.
think it's iguana.
Dave's gonna show up to his next spot with like fucking iguana skin boots on.
Nah, I'll leave the wildlife alone.
It's an invasive species, Dave. You have to kill them if you see them.
I'm still not gonna.
They're
kill
like
it.
nature's speed bumps down there.
Yeah, last time we were there, we saw a shitload of them on the side of the road.
You know what
hanging
ate
out.
faster than a car?
Iguana.
Iguana. You want to know how I found that out?
Do tell.
Animal Planet. They can only run at 10 miles an hour. Cars go faster than that.
Everybody knows that, dummy.
Yeah,
Speaking of fast cars,
Speaking of fast cars,
Speaking of fast cars,
let's get to it. This is the Tire Preference Podcast. We are here to talk about Formula One and Formula One things. So if you're into that, grab a beer and listen on. I'm Jake. I'm here with Dave
right on.
and Tyler.
Rocking that Red Bull gear.
And yes,
It's fresh gear. It looks pretty sweet. I like it.
Thanks.
Red Bull
Yeah,
does
but-
got some sweet stuff. They got a
they
good
do.
look.
And I do.
I need to get a new hat though, because this is old school. Because it says Austin
Aston
Martin.
Yeah, it's very
Martin.
confusing.
Yeah.
It's fitting though for something you're going to talk about later that you would have Austin Martin and Red Bull on the same hat.
Oh
A
yeah.
little bit of foreshadowing there.
That's very on brand of you. So,
That's funny.
it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Quite appropriate.
So to give you guys a little breakdown of what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about the Sazuka GP. If you guys watched it, you're right there with us. You know what's going on. So we'll give you a little bit of insight of what was happening as far as like what our feeble, uneducated minds think about it. And then
what
we'll
I
talk
remember,
about
'cause
some.
I fell asleep a bunch of times.
We'll talk about some new stuff. And yeah, it turns out it's fucking hard to stay up in the middle of the night and watch a race. And then yeah, so we'll talk about some new stuff after that. And then I think that's it. I don't think there's a race next week, is there?
No race next
No, there
week.
is. No, there isn't.
Oh, there's I saw a thing on a schedule, but I think it's like an esports thing.
No,
cares?
yeah, I don't give two shits about the
October
esports series.
23rd is the next race.
Yeah,
And
it's
we
guess
got
where
that.
that's at?
It's Coda.
Austin. Yeah, so that
Texas,
is, the
motherfuckers.
23rd. So
It's in
that's-
fucking Texas.
That's
gonna
when I'll be
be,
home to watch.
You know, not this weekend, but next weekend. Oh yeah, Dave's coming over to watch that. That's gonna be dope.
I was thinking if the weather's nice, maybe I could bring the TV out and we could watch it out on the outside of the camper, but
Oh, outside living
it
room.
might be.
Where
Yeah,
are you
but
gonna park your camper at?
we're gonna be
In
at
your
I'll probably bleep that out.
That's a good idea.
Because the offer still stands. If there's any people that are listening in the St. Louis area, you can get one of two axles off of Dave's trailer. We'll send you to a race.
You have to get 3 axles off of his trailer. I will only accept 3 axles off of his trailer.
Wait, how many axles you got on that trailer?
I think he has 1.
Two. All right, so
You have to
yeah,
to
if you get the axle off of it, or even half the fucking axle,
Really, what you have to do is steal
We got
both
2 of them
axles,
now.
wait for him to replace
Yeah.
them, and then take one, and then you
Just
win the
waiting.
prize.
to see Dave drive like the next podcast, and it's after Dave's been driving down the road with no axles on his podcast, just like skid behind him.
Just
Yeah, this is
pulling a
really
sled.
fucking cool. Like, I have no axles, and B, now we're broke because of the some fucking fan to the race.
Are you guys still planning on coming over to watch that race?
Yeah.
Cool.
I think I'm gonna be
For
busy
sure.
that
Well,
day,
did you
so I'm
want to
not
do
gonna
it
make
earlier in the day, or did you want to do? Well, what time is the race? It's gonna be
It
an
starts at
afternoon
2
race.
p.m.
Okay, yeah. So it's. I'm about to say, I forgot it was.
It's
Our
going to be
time
live
zone.
and in your face.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just be over and watch it live.
Yep, and we'll give our predictions on that during the next podcast next week.
For
But
sure.
let's get into it right now. We'll talk about Sazuka GP and how fucking crazy and not crazy that race was.
It
So-
wasn't crazy until it was crazy.
it was not crazy until it was crazy, and then it was less crazy, and then it was real fucking crazy.
It started to get crazy. What was it, lap 2? Or was it lap 1?
Lap 1.
Speaking of fast cars.
Oh, wait, it was lap 1, but they crossed the lap before. Okay. Yeah.
Real quick, I want to talk about just how absolutely fucking close Q3 was.
Didn't see it.
Oh, yeah.
Any of the lap times?
The top, what was it, top 4?
The top
separated
4
by like a 5/100th of a second or something
like that. I'll read off the top 4 times. Actually, really, the top 5 times. Actually,
they're very close.
They were all super duper close. So Max Verstappen got pole position. His qualifying lap time was 1 minute 29 seconds, 0.304. Leclerc was 129.314. Sainz was 129.316. Perez was 129.709. Ocon was 130.156. Hamilton was 132.16. Alonso was 133.22. Russell was 133.89. Vettel was 135.44 or 554. And then Norris was 131.03. So that's fucking crazy. That's probably one of the closest Q3 finishes we've had all season.
Yeah, it was a good one. It was good to see Vettel doing well in qualifying in Suzuka.
Yeah.
Until the first turn of the
he kind of shoveled that one, but I mean, what was the last time he made it to Q3?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's been a long
I should know this, but I don't.
It's been a while.
I mean, I'm not gonna hold like the start of the race exactly against him because I feel like, I mean, we'll get into it like when we start the race, but like it was pretty wet. So like I really wish F1 had like a tire that was a little better at getting rid of water than say like the tire.
Some of the displaced water a little bit better than the intermediate tire.
Because the intermediate tires are for when it's like, the track's
wet, but not soaked.
Not really.
Yeah. It's not. It's wet, but not continuing to get wet.
But if you had if you had a tire for like the wet, rainy conditions,
like super wet conditions,
like maybe that would have been a good tire to start up.
I think so. It sounds like you probably would have gotten more traction and less hydroplaning if you had a tire like the one you're talking about.
Yes, but unfortunately F1 doesn't have a tire like that. Just kidding, we're being facetious. They do have the wet weather tires. They didn't start the race on the wet weather tires.
They never fucking use it.
Intermediate tires.
I thought like when it was raining, I thought they had to start on a wet tire. Wasn't that a rule or something?
The rule is if this race starts behind the safety car, they have to start on the wet tire. Because if it's dangerous enough to have it behind the safety car, it's dangerous enough on the fucking tire. Which makes sense. But at the same time, it's like, let me race my fucking race.
We'll get to it afterwards, after this start.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so lights out and away we go. Oh, real quick, Gasly started from the pits again, second race in a row.
Yeah, you seem really pissed about that also.
Sucks
but
to
you
suck.
think you'd be happy because it's like, okay, I'm starting from the pits, but I have a contract with another team now. So like
a French team.
Oh, did we even say that in the last podcast that he had signed with?
No, I think it came out
Alpine?
after that. We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
Good on you.
What was I about ready to say?
We were lights out and away we go in a very, very wet.
The second week he started from the pits.
Week he started
why did he start from the pits?
I don't know, because they wanted
I don't remember.
We are so fucking prepared to talk about this race.
That's great.
This is basic bitch. Like they talked about it on the fucking broadcast. I should have written it.
Well, fuck me for bringing it up and making us look like a bunch of idiots. Sorry, my bad. I'll bleep all this out.
We are a bunch of idiots.
Moving along.
We're gonna say, you know what? Gasly started from the pits because he fucking got real drunk, and he whipped his cock out and pissed on the fucking garage of Haas. He like walked in the Haas. It's a white garage, and he thought it was his.
Why has he got a vendetta against
cocked
Haas?
out because they have the same similar colors. He cocked out, pissed all over the fucking thing. He cocked in, and then he got a fucking restart from the pit penalty.
That's an automatic pit penalty.
Cocked in. Like that.
The pit stop penalty.
Yeah.
Because he had to dry up the fucking piss. And then as a joke, Haas was putting puppy pads everywhere for.
No, I think it had something to do with, I wonder if it was like something they had to replace on his car.
They probably had to replace a power unit or a tranny or something like that. Who knows?
Okay.
But well, and then Nicholas Latifi had a 5-place grid penalty too.
It's
so
fucking,
he had to start 25th.
But he didn't start 25th because fucking we just talked about Gasly was in the pits. So
that would have been fucking hilarious if they made him start. If you're 20th, you need a 5 grid penalty. You have to start 5 grid spots back from everyone else. Like,
like behind the safety car.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be fucking amazing. But no, he started 19th with his 5 grid place penalty because fucking guess he was in the pits. So it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah. So yeah, lights out and away they went. It was wet. Max had a really bad start.
Leclerc had a really good start.
Yeah, he did. But Max ended up. Yeah, he. I thought Leclerc was gonna be able to beat him to that first turn, but Max with his just superb late braking had the outside in the wet, which you want, and it worked out perfect for him and gave him the lead.
You know who did not have a great attack into turn 1, a great braking into turn 1?
Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah.
Which I was really upset at because I thought it was going to be Dunzo.
Did he hit Alonso?
There was a little bit of contact.
Oh, yeah, I think he bumped into Alonso, yeah.
Just a little bit of contact with Alonso.
Just enough to send him off.
Yeah.
Back to that battle with Max and Leclerc. We should also mention that going into this race, Max needed to outscore Leclerc by 8 points, and he would have been the world champion.
Yeah, I don't really say that's relevant, but sure.
But that's why it was a tight battle, I feel like, and Max wanted to hold on to it. And Max
or it's just fucking Max who doesn't like being in second place.
Yeah, Max is he's gonna race to win every time he's on the track. That guy doesn't settle for anything less. What's it been this year? DNF or first place, or that one race where he was at like 5th, 6th, 8th. I think he finished in 8th.
Yeah, I think it was 8.
and that was another wet race ish with a lot of pit strategies and weirdness that happened.
Yeah, that was Singapore. The last race, actually.
Yeah, it was Singapore.
Singapore.
It literally poured.
And then, so it's real wet out there. It's real nasty. And then we see some crimson red going off of the track. And I was like,
yeah, I saw that. Like
Carlos Sainz.
I saw everybody taking turns, and then I saw a red car that was facing the wrong direction. I was like, "Whoa, no!"
So no. So what had happened was,
what happened?
Sainz was on the intermediates, although he should have been on the full wets, and
everyone else should have been on the
full wets. If all the cars had started on the full wets and just not been a bunch of whiny little bitches about it, like, oh, I don't want to do an extra pit so early in the race because the wets are going to be drying out. That obviously didn't happen because we had a fucking 3-hour rain delay. Anyway, we'll get to that. But if he had those tires on, they would have displaced enough water to not cause him to hydroplane on the fucking torrent that was coming down. Yeah, whatever. On the track, and he spun around and then tapped the barrier quite violently and causing a piece of rubble to hit the raceway. Which many people got to run over except for the man in last place, Pierre Gasly.
Yeah,
picked it up.
He picked it up and it rode with him for a while.
It rode with him, and he could not see anything. He had to drive by wire by looking at the white line on the side of the road, which ain't easy when it's bright.
I will say that, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but I've never seen spray like this. It was insane. Like you couldn't see
It was
shit.
pretty bad.
I'm surprised that like it was nuts. The just the camera angles is like where's the cars?
Yeah,
it's just fucking nothing but spray everywhere on the track, except for on the turns.
You know, as much as we wanted to see like the exciting racing and not have it go under a rain delay, I fully understand why they went into a rain delay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this was the third time this season that Science has had an out on lap 1.
Yeah. I will say real quick. Sorry, it was back to Gasly. When Gasly had gotten back to the pits and they had gone under the rain delay, Crofty and Brundle were talking about, because who's their pit guy? It's
Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, so Ted Kravitz he's like, I kind of want to pick this piece up and then have him autograph it later.
He's like, should I autograph it then give it to Gasly? They're like, I don't think he would find that funny.
Yeah, I love Ted down the pits.
Yeah, he's great. So just to bring it back really quick as an update for everyone, due to podcasting magic, you don't know that we just took like a 15-minute break, but I looked it up, and the reason Gasly started behind the pits or in the pits was he had an electrical issue that happened after qualifying. So after fixing it, he then had to start from the pits instead of.
Gotcha. Those Parc Ferme rules.
Yeah,
I know. Can't live with them. Can't live without them.
But you want to talk about some carnage?
Yeah, let's talk about lap 1 full of fucking carnage. I know we already talked about it a little bit, but just to like put it in an itemized list for all the listeners at home or in your car. So lap 1, turn 1, Vettel has it on. And then lap 1, I think it was around Spoon, Science goes out. Okay. So he hydroplanes, aquaplanes, whatever. I know the difference.
It's the same thing, but I think just the Brits call it aquaplaning and we call it hydroplaning.
Well, then why the fuck you correct me? Which flags?
I did just because we watched Martin and Crofty.
Are you going to correct the spelling of the tire preference? The tire on the tire preference?
Maybe on this episode,
fucking imperialist.
I'll do that. Yeah.
Anyway,
we should do that for the British Grand Prix next year.
We're not going to pander to those fucking slimy fish eaters.
Okay.
All right. Anywho,
who has bean for breakfast? A fucking prick.
Sometimes they come in breakfast burritos. Sometimes
never have I had a breakfast burrito that has beans in it. It's eggs and bacon.
This is funny. We were in Universal Studios, Florida, and we went to the Harry Potter Hogwarts and all that big thing they have there. We ate at a place, and I had an English breakfast there, dude. The beans and all that. It was actually really good.
I'm saying, like, if I order a breakfast platter and someone brings me cold beans, I'm putting rocks in my sock and I'm finding someone to hit with it.
You can just not eat the beans.
The audacity. I'm putting them on my spoon and I'm pointing them at other people so they're as miserable as I am.
Excuse me, sir. The pint of Guinness you served me with breakfast is warm.
Yeah. I ordered this room temperature. Anyway, so getting back to the carnage.
The carnage.
So, Science has an out lap 1. Zhao had a bit of a spin, which almost took Latifi out. And Albon had a transmission issue and he fucking fell off the track after that. So Science going out. I think we already mentioned this. He hit a advertisement for Rolex, and like every single fucking car passed over that Rolex signboard except for Gasly, who collected it and then hit the pits to get full wets because, my God, we need them. This is terrible.
Yeah, it looked like Gasly like pierced that sign with the nose.
He
of his
probably
car
fucking
too.
did. Thank God he had the halo, or else the sign would have pierced him. But
did it end up flying off, or did it make it all the way back to
it
the
made
pits
it
with
all the way back to the pit.
Did it?
It did. And he had the like I
I
said,
didn't
he
see
had the
the shot of
drive-by
him
wire.
coming
He
in.
was driving with by looking at the fucking the line on the side of the road, which is interesting because when you are in a race car, you can't see the racetrack that good. You know, you can see it pretty well, but not right next to you. So it was difficult for him to do. And then he gets in the pits, gets it removed. I think they had a nose change or something. He puts the full wets on and he gets back on the track. And here we get to one of the big controversies that we'll cover a little bit more in depth when we get to the news section. But at this point, because of what happened with Sainz and Albon, they brought out the safety car. So safety car rules say that unless you're behind the safety car, you can speed up to catch up to it. Now, under safety car rules, there's also a delta that you have to stay within. You can't go too fast and you can't go too slow. And the
delta is just like the time you got to keep it within, right?
Yes, it's like it's if we'll put on a scale from 1 to 10. If your delta is 4 and 7, it has to be no less than a 4 and no more than a 7 as far as you going around the track.
So there's no it's not like a speed governor. It's more of a time governor. Don't go through these sectors faster than this, but you can go fast in this sector, then slow down. And then
it's not really by sector, it's lap time and it's an average.
Total lap.
So that's why you'll have people speed up and then slow down because they just have to keep it in that delta.
Okay. I thought it was just sectored. So
if you're behind the safety car, that shit goes out the window and you just have to keep pace with the safety car. It's going to be going slow as fuck, but you can catch back up. And so Gasly's doing this. And while this is happening, they decide to red flag the race because of conditions. This happens about 2 seconds before Gasly passes Sainz crash site, where there is a flatbed truck on the track that's with a crane, and there is a marshal in front of Sainz's car which is still on the track, and Gasly passes right by that. And every single person that has watched F1 for a length of time, including all the drivers, immediately thought back to 2014 when the same shit happened and Jules Bianchi, who was on full wet tires, hit the back of that tractor. And might I add, this happened at the exact same part of the track that Sainz spun out because it was too fucking wet.
We just talked about that in the last podcast. Was that the
exact same spot of the track?
Yeah, he was passing. The truck was there to pick up Sainz.
Yeah, but I think are you saying that it was in the same spot that Bianchi had the crash at?
No, Sainz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, never mind.
No, it was right where Sainz
I
was.
understood.
It was right where Sainz because that's what the truck was there for.
Did you see the footage of it? Of I saw I don't know if it was a mass cam. I think it was a mass cam. Might have been I think it was helmet cam.
Yeah.
Either way, but you couldn't see shit. All of a sudden, you just see this big dark mass pass right to the left with some lights on it. It's like, what the fuck was that? That could have just killed. If he would have been just over, he'd be dead.
It slid into it.
That halo ain't stopping that. You know what I mean?
Right. It was
just to think about it.
And even if he didn't hit the truck, he could have hit Sainz's car very easily.
Or hit that marshal standing.
Well, that's what I'm saying is the marshal's in the side of the car. Hit Sainz's car, the car hits Marshall. And I found out during our break that our very own, well, not our own, but the one we watched, Martin Brundle, in 94, flipped a Marshall that was on the track at Sazuka in the wet. So broke his fucking leg. Yeah.
Well, there was there was an F1 race in the 80s where I think it was the 80s, and a Marshal went on the track and got killed because he got hit by a car.
It's fucking
Jesus.
It's a dangerous situation, and
stay off the track.
I don't think that there's an SOP for tractors on the track because we've seen it plenty of times before where they've been on the track in wet conditions and shit like that. But if there was ever a race where you go, you know what? Let's put the red flag down or something, or let's do something. Let's keep the cars off the track. And I get it. You want to, because Sainz's car is a target to be hit and it will cause problems. So you need to get that off.
Let's dig into this. Obviously each car has a GPS thing on it. It tracks it around the track. and these marshals can't go onto the track until they're given the okay, right?
Right.
They're not just willy-nilly running out there when they feel, oh, I got to go out there and pick up this. They got to get an okay to go out on the track.
100%. Yeah. And
So
there was an
either
FIA
there was
ruling that allowed them to get on the track.
So there was either a lack of communication or some sort of technical glitch. I don't know. Have they released anything? Because I mean, to have a truck and a marshal out on a driver still coming down the track is,
they've released two
what
things.
happened.
They released one saying that they're going to look into the incident, and they're investigating it. But the fault seems to be at the FIA putting a truck on the track. The other thing they did was penalize Gasly for speeding.
Yeah, I saw that. That was placing the blame. It's like victim shaming. Come on, what are you doing?
It's definitely moving the focus off of you who done fucked.
Yeah,
and it was a heavy penalty too. It was like 2 points on his license and a 20-second penalty.
It was a 20-second penalty on his total race time and 2 points of his license. But get this is the fucked up part is they did not penalize him for speeding before he passed Sainz. It was only after. And they said that he could have gone faster, but he was clocked at 221 kph. And that, it's just like, it's almost mind.
It's frustrating.
It's extremely frustrating because it's like you were just being like, oh fuck yeah. Well, did you see how he was driving?
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that?
Yeah,
he was driving with his full wet out.
There's got to be some backlash from that, right?
The FIA needs to say things.
I think he got exonerated, I believe is what I had heard, but it's still like, because the FIA was like, okay, well, this is happening to Pierre Gasly, and then we're going to do our own investigation what we happened. But it's totally like trying to shift the focus away of just like you were saying, like, oh, we have this tractor on track, but he was speeding past it. So
right,
no, so bring in a third party investigation team. Let them figure out what happened. I want facts, not FIA facts.
Well, and the crazy thing is also, I just lost my fucking point that I was going to say.
Oh, that's a bummer.
You've
been smoking too much tweed.
Yeah, I guess so. too many trees. Too many of those jazz cigarettes.
Too much jazz cabbage.
It's just a really fucked up situation, and they were definitely trying to like save face and kind of like, I don't want to say they're trying to skirt the blame, because I think they realized the blame was definitely on them. But the thing is, like, and something else I want to say to anyone out there that might be raging about this is it's not the marshal's fault. The marshals get told what to do.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. They don't just have free range to go out on the track.
Right. And there wasn't some kind of language barrier, because I fucking promise you they have many translators. Someone gave the tow truck driver and the marshal the go ahead to get on the track when they should not have. And like, kind of touching on what Dave said earlier, all the cars are GPS tracked. You can know where they go on the track. Now, those do fuck up sometimes. There was a point in the race toward the end where I can't remember what driver it was, but they thought he had a big off, and it turns out the GPS just was not working on their vehicle.
Yeah, I forgot who it was, but yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, that's right.
I think that was between one of the spots where I fell asleep.
It was super fucked up.
It was a radio program for me at that point. I was like, I had my phone was like connected to the dash piece on my truck, like for hands-free device, and I'm like driving home. We're like, don't watch the race, but it was like playing over the stereo.
Should have just put a piece of paper. No temptation. You gotta drive safe.
Yeah.
Right. But so they so after all that, Gasly and a lot of the drivers were extremely vocal about what happened. So that's probably one of the only reasons that
a lot of them were friends with Bianchi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were really close with them. Yeah.
And it's just reminiscent. And it's like, hey, what the fuck? This could have been the exact same thing on the exact same track. What the fuck?
They kept showing Gasly as he was the one that was super pissed. I think he was the most vocal about it. But they it took him a little while to the rain delay to say like, oh, he must be pissed because of this tractor on the track. So I thought he was just really pissed because of the piece of like track advertisement that he picked.
That's what I thought.
It was very unclear.
There was that shot of him in the garage, like screaming or getting really heated with some little lady. It's like, what's he yelling at her?
That was the communications director for AlphaTauri.
Okay. So well, he was like really heated.
I get that you like picked up this piece of the advertisement on the side of the track that's really shitty, but like, this is a clip that is gonna make the rounds. You're gonna be known for it.
Right.
At first, I thought he was pissed at signs for going off. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be pissed at somebody for going off in the rain."
Thank you for aquaplaning off the track.
So yeah, it took a while, and then they said something about the tractor, and I was like, "What?" And that's when we had to like look up actual footage for it. And like, holy shit! Yeah, I'd understand why I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
So basically, like
that was mere feet from death, and he didn't even see it coming.
Well, then the thing we got to remember is this is like it's almost a unique situation. We've seen countless races where they've had tractors on track, then people are just, especially in the dry, they're just fine getting the tractor on there.
It just happened in Italy a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it just happened in Italy. It's happened at a lot of racetracks. Happened in Australia with Sainz on the first lap, and they were able to tractor him out and all that shit. So there is a safe way to do it, but at the location this track was at,
and it was just in the wet with all the spray.
It was in the wet.
Yeah, 100%. See, and that added to it 100%.
Just do a light red flag. Pull everyone in the pit. Tell them to get out of their cars. It takes 5 minutes to get. And in fucking Monza, they had the telehandler pulling the car back while they're under full fucking race. Well, I guess I think it was a caution flag, but at the same time, it's like Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah. Well,
very
the
inconsistent
that were there. And then of course we can't ignore the history, in modern memory. Right. Recently happening of like a fatal crash at a racetrack happening there under very similar conditions.
Yes.
Like, there should have been there's no reason they should have done that. They should have just waited. They should have either red flagged it or just I don't know.
I don't know.
With Carlos Sainz's car sitting on the track the way it was, they should have just red flagged it.
Yeah, immediately. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, you could have even just red flagged it with the cars on the track. Just fucking 100 full on stop, and then we'll spend 5 minutes, maybe 10, loading the truck up.
They've red flagged for less too, so
they could have just. And it was so early.
Let's go to Monaco, where they fucking clipped the wall and they fucking red flagged it, even though there's nothing on the track.
They could have just red flagged it and then brought everyone into the pits because this was like right at the start of the race.
Yeah.
You didn't need to get the safety car out and then do another lap before you could just been like, it would just immediate, like, okay, it's just red flag it. The car's on the track, you can't see shit, get everyone in the pits and we'll take care of this. Yeah. And even if it was 5 minutes, it wouldn't have, I don't think anyone would have been upset about that. We probably would have had, some opinions.
We would have made jokes about it.
We would have made
jokes,
but
at the same time, instead of making jokes about that, we are now full on criticizing the FIA for their decision.
And for all the shit we talked too, like, because they did go into the rain delay and they have wet tires, but at the end of the day, it's still like an incredibly dangerous sport. And for my entertainment, I don't think that anyone should be put in any sort of danger like that.
No, it's not worth it to me.
No,
but going off, well, not off, but damn it. Go ahead.
You fucked it up, Dave.
I did. It was. I had something. No, I had something. Damn it.
This is your one point. Like, we give you one chance to talk every 15 minutes, and this was your one chance, and you straight fucked it.
I had something too. Damn it.
What I like and respect is the fact that Dave said going off. Either way, we're off the rails on this one.
Anyway, sorry.
This podcast never is on the rails.
That's what we should have called this fucking podcast. Is off the rails.
Off the rails. Yeah.
The off the rails Formula One.
Call this episode off the rails.
There you go.
Actually, I was thinking about calling this one Konnichiwa Sazuka, which is good afternoon, Sazuka.
or good evening, Sazuka, because there was
That's
That's not-
Konbanwa.
That's
Yeah,
not
'cause
like
now there
cultural
was-
appropriation or anything, is it?
no, it's a fucking
No, that's
language.
fucking language. Konnichiwa means good afternoon in Japanese.
Yeah, but I'm not Japanese. Am I allowed to do that?
If
You're
you
allowed to speak
if you go to
another
Japan and say
language.
konnichiwa, they're not going to be like, look at this fucking orange haired bastard talking our language. They're going to go, okay, yeah.
It's the same thing. Like if you're, if we're sitting here having this conversation, we're
Orange-haired
racing in
bastard.
Mexico, we say Buenos Dias. If you say Buenos Dias, they're gonna be like, wow, Dave's
Yeah.
racist and he's doing cultural appropriation.
Look at that
because-
sack of pink skin and pink nipples over there fucking talking to us in our language.
Yeah,
Maybe
as
it's
you're eating
because I've heard Konnichiwa used in such like, I don't know, not derogatory, but like.
How is that used in what, like fucking
So,
way?
Dave, is it okay to
That's
be
No,
like,
not
hey,
used
speak,
derogatory.
you better be the opposite of
This
that?
is
would be
never
going to
in-
Japan
it's-
and being
No
like,
one's
you better
ever
speak English.
referred to like the
You better speak
Japanese as
English.
Konnichis or anything.
Every
like that.
time I've heard it from white folk, it's never been in context. So
Hello, this is my family. We're the afternoons.
Yeah.
My
it's gonna be
next
the
no one
longest
said-
bleep in
Yeah.
podcast history.
my how is it bleeding?
I'm
It's not-
kidding.
It's not bad at all.
I'm kidding. You know, we never got to what we're drinking. I see Tyler's got a Deschutes.
Well,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, well, halfway through the podcast, we'll do a beer check. This is Dave trying to get off of a very uncomfortable section of the podcast for him. We're
My
just
face ain't
talking.
red. That's just
Yep, no, I'm having a Coors Light. Yep, I'm drinking Coors Light right now. That's what I'm having. A Coors Light.
There's nothing wrong with saying konnichiwa. It's just like saying hola in Spanish.
I still like Tyler's idea though too. That was a pretty good one.
Which one?
I don't know. I don't remember. So we're going
Oh,
with
calling this
Konnichiwa.
episode off the rails.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
because you're afraid to put konnichiwa in the title.
It's good.
All right, moving on.
Okay, so what do
So
you?
they-
I'll go first.
yeah.
I'm drinking an Even More Jesus by Evil Twin Brewing.
What's it called?
Even More Jesus.
Even more Jesus.
Yeah, it's an imperial
Even
stout
Even
on the
more
Richter scale,
Jesus.
coming in at a big 12.0.
I'm trying to get it.
Oh.
Even more. It's like this is like the most Jesus you can get.
Well, so they had Don't Mess with the Jesus.
Full of
and
Jesus.
That was I don't remember what that was. I think it was just a stout, and then they have Even More Jesus. Making it's like a reference to the Big Lebowski.
I like
Oh,
to think that
gotcha.
the head brewer's name was Jesus, and they're just like, what was the first one called?
I think it was called Don't Mess with the Jesus or something like that.
Yeah, don't mess with Jesus.
Don't mess with the Jesus.
And they're like even more Jesus because Jesus is putting more alcohol into the beer.
Mhm.
That's the way I thought about it. But
All right, so
cultural
Tyler, what are you
appropriation.
drinking?
Fresh haze IPA.
You're gonna bleep out what Tyler said, Jesus.
Nope.
Hey, what are you drinking?
Just Coors Lights. I've had them
Colorado
since
lemonades.
they've been in the fridge for a while. Oh, since the last day we were supposed to podcast, and I didn't drink them.
Mm.
Yeah, I just went cheap and easy this time around.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
That's most times around, actually.
So let's
So-
get to the red flag.
The red flag.
Yes.
They finally red flagged it after that whole fucking thing.
So I was watching the race live because I was more or less being a security guard Friday night for a piece of wire sitting on the ground that was like in conduit. So
Right.
there's like nothing will happen to it, but we had to have people out there watching it, and it was in a residential neighborhood, so nothing was happening. So I'm like, all right, it red flagged. I guess I will continue watch this because there's literally nothing else to do right now.
Oh, they've always got good commentary during the rain delays.
But one of my favorite things I noticed is there's Crofty, Brundle, Ted Kravitz is the guy in the pit, and then
Karun Chapman is the Indian fellow you hear.
So that's what I was
And
saying.
that dude is super passionate about F1, by the way.
Yes, and I think he's a really good analyst. advanced, and I think he does a really
Oh,
good
yeah,
job.
he knows a ton about
I just wish they would show the fucking video that he's talking about.
I was gonna say,
if you look right here, Coffee, there's this fucking thing that's going on right here. And meanwhile, it's like a zoom in on a fucking, we're filling time shot of a fucking tire that's been used for like 20 laps.
Because it cuts to like with the way that it comes off is like he's analyzing a video, but we don't see it because he's talking about like Carlos Sainz wreck and like the tractor being on track. And
that's because they're all talking Sky Sports people, so all the Brits get to see what they're talking about, but we get F1 TV. So if we were watching F1 TV, it'd match up. But
it just comes off that he's talking and they don't care about what he's talking
that's
about.
Exactly how I feel about it too.
Just think that. It's like your niece or your nephew going like, "Hey, look at what I'm doing in this video game." You're like, "Yeah, that's great." But meanwhile, you're having a conversation with someone and they're still talking in the background like you're paying attention.
Right. They're like, okay, well, his dad's like our boss, so we got to give him 10 minutes to talk about the whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Really?
No.
So
no.
Oh,
this is what it comes off across because they never show his footage
for real.
Yeah. So it went on for it was at least half an hour. I think 40 minutes was almost an hour. I think was the first one, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, like it's ending," and I'm like, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna start racing again. This is gonna be great."
Oh. Yeah.
And then they get everyone in their cars and they're just like delayed.
Yep, it's delayed.
Then everybody back out.
They get out of the cars, and now like almost another hour has gone by. And at this point, because they have the race has a 2-hour window that the race can happen in a 3-hour window for broadcasting or something like that. And now we've reached.
Well, it was also not to interrupt you. I think normally, and I could be wrong with this, I've heard it's 4 hours, the 2-hour window in a 4-hour time period, but because of the weather conditions and where they are in the world, sunset was going to happen around 3 hours after the official race start time.
Right. So basically, like they had gotten to the point where it was just a countdown. They're like, this has to be done in the next hour.
Right.
So the way that this shift worked, like I was relieved at like a little after midnight. And so the guy that was relieving me to take over for the next shift showed up. So I was kind of BSing with him for a minute and was like, "Hey, all right, this is, this is what's going on. This is what I don't know." You just tell him, like, you don't have to tell him what you saw. I'm like, "Hey, we're in a residential neighborhood. I've seen 5 cars drive by in the last 2 hours." So we bullshitted for a little bit. And I had paused the race, and I get back in the car and I hit play and just advanced it to where it was live. And now they're like on the track in behind a safety car. And I was like, "Oh, fuck." Because there was like 40 minutes left in the race. Like it was a countdown clock. So I had like my phone sitting in a cup holder playing the race while I was driving back to.
How far away from home were you?
I was on the same side, almost like basically a triangle. So I'm like in like one side of Eugene. I had to drive all the way across town to get back to where like our headquarters is, and then I have to come maybe 10 minutes down the freeway to get to my house.
Oh, you could just go straight home?
I couldn't just go straight home. I had a company truck. So and then like I get in my truck and then I get home and I'm fucking exhausted. Like I've been up for like sitting in my truck for 12 hours. And so now I'm like, I get home, I'm like, well, I need to crawl into bed, but there's like 15 minutes left in this race and it's been pretty bananas the whole fucking time.
Right.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Well, we do now. To be honest, I was looking at Tyler because he was talking. So one of my favorite things they do when they do red flags is they have little fun facts about the drivers. And they always pick like the best fun facts. And I just need a yes or no from both of you. Did you notice, because don't give anything away, but yes, so just yes or no. Did you notice the ones about Valtteri Bottas?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So we're gonna quiz Dave, Tyler. Dave, what is Valtteri Bottas's favorite genre of music?
Oh fuck! There's no chance I would know this. This is gonna be a guess in the. He seems like a dude that would like. I mean, something from his native land, I'm sure. I don't know. Yeah, he might like pop and whatnot. So Taylor Swift.
No, rock music.
Oh,
From
cool.
his native homeland.
They paid Grandpa's
If you heard
guitarist
him
fucking.
talk, he's not. Spoiler alert: he's not from America.
But he likes rock music. So, Dave, Valtteri Bottas has a pet. Do you know what kind of pet it is? We'll give you 3 guesses. It could be anything in the animal kingdom.
Anything in the animal kingdom. Can I narrow it down? Is it a normal pet?
It's a pet. It has 4 legs.
Oh fuck. I mean, I could say a lizard, or I could say a fucking goat, or I could say a dog.
Okay, those
I'm
are
gonna say
3.
a dog.
So no to all 3 of those. It's a reindeer.
Oh, cool.
He's got a pet reindeer.
He has a pet reindeer.
No shit.
That's the
If he
most
named him
Valtteri
Rudolph.
That's
he's
the
my
most
hero.
fucking Scandinavian thing I've ever heard.
Okay,
Pet
I read
reindeer.
that. I think I read that wrong. Because I thought it was his like favorite animal or something like that.
No, he is a pet reindeer.
Yeah, fucking
Valtteri
Jesus.
Bottas has a pet reindeer.
Mhm.
Annie knew that. I didn't know that.
She probably saw the same thing.
Jesus Christ.
Also, he holds a rank in the don't tell me Finnish military.
Oh, he does, for real?
Yeah, do you want to guess what rank that is?
They use the same kind of ranking system we do. I mean, I don't know what. Okay. Lieutenant. I don't know.
Corporal.
Corporal.
So he made his way up the ladder a wee bit.
I wonder if they
Is
have
corporal
one of those-
higher than lieutenant? I thought lieutenant was an
I think
officer.
lieutenant's higher than
lieutenant's an
corporal.
officer. He's like would be a rank, not rank. He'd be
I think it's a couple of bumps above private. It's like 2 or 3
he'd
bumps
be
above
enlisted.
private.
He'd be an enlisted.
Yeah,
Enlisted
he's
man.
enlisted.
Yeah.
He's enlisted. I think they might have conscription in that country.
That's what I was going to ask. I wonder if it is a country that is like everyone has to do like 2 years of service or something.
It
like
probably is. I think a lot of Scandinavian countries are. So,
that. Well,
Which-
that's a talk for a geopolitical podcast, which we currently don't have. So,
no, but I
Well,
will
F1's
say,
kind of geo.
I will say,
Sportical.
I think that they're in this country, the U.S. There needs to be a conscription for 2 years, but it is not necessarily for the military, although that might not be a bad idea. But that conscription is working in fucking customer service, so we can get rid of this goddamn Karens and these Keiths or whatever the fuck the male Karen is, and fucking make people not get pissed off because their mustard's too concentrated on their Subway sandwich.
On your 18th birthday, you're given a choice. Fucking 2 years of customer service or 2 years of military.
Yeah, and if you injure out with your gout for military, you have to do customer service.
No,
yeah,
there's
it's
no.
one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
It's one or the other.
I have social anxiety.
Dyslexic.
Well,
Guess
here's
you're
a
working
gun.
at fucking
You're going to boot camp.
McDonald's. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
you're working at Checkers rallies. Fucking enjoy, getting soda thrown at you. Anyway, back to F1. So we had a rolling start.
We did have.
And-
That was after the red flag. So yes, after the red flag, they did have a safety car restart. So it was a rolling restart.
Mhm.
I think this was when I was like kind of zoning. Man, I'm not gonna lie. I passed out for about seconds at a time until I heard, "Are you asleep?" No, I was watching.
No, it was. And
I'm
was
gonna turn it
Checo
off. We're gonna
Perez.
watch it in the morning. I'm like, no, we'll finish it tonight.
Yeah. Turns out it was Checo on the radio, not
Right.
me.
Yeah, because he did say that on the radio. Are you sleeping toward the end? Anyway, we'll get to that. So we had the rolling start, and you know who had a surprising rolling start there? Hey Gary, you know who had a really good rolling start there?
Do tell me, Bill, who had a really good rolling start there?
That Stroll fella had a really good rolling start there. He really got his gumption all together, and he just kind of put his best foot forward on the right pedal, if you know what I'm saying, and fucking just center down the inside.
He really went
Center
for
down
it,
the
yeah.
fucking middle, bud.
Oh yeah. No, not down the middle. I mean, he went down toward the inside of the pit lane there, kind of toward like the pit lane box, because that side of the track was drying off a little quicker than the outside.
That's true.
So,
I think they got the middle, it slopes over there on the outside.
Slopes a little right there, so he went really hard on that side.
Yeah, that's a good good point, Brett. He did go on the outside.
He went on the arid side, if you will.
Yeah, like a desert.
Yeah, but it's a
arid,
relatively
like
comparable
the
desert
speed stick there.
you know, Japan has a very wet climate. You know,
Yeah,
it's not too far off from what you'd see in like Northwest Canada or you know, southeast,
like
southwest, down in Washington in the United States.
Yeah, the lower 48 there. You had the stadies. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh,
Good
what
people though. You know, they're just like us. They're just like us.
Hardworking folks really care about their family. You know, I think that's great. Like their baseball, but not the Toronto Blue Jays.
No. Well, they're the only Canadian team there, and I mean, they do try hard. They're just not. You know, they're kind of like a minnow in a tank full of sharks.
Well, they used to have the Montreal Expos up there, you know.
Oh, I did forget about the Expos up there, you know.
But we don't talk about children that decided to.
I lost you. I can't hear shit. Oh, there we go.
Oh.
You're back.
So we were just talking about how we don't support children that abandon the family, and so we're gonna leave the east coast of the Canada alone there.
But that's where the Jays are from. They're from Toronto.
But that's not as east coast as Montreal.
That's true.
The east coast of Canada is now Toronto.
Yeah, but
that's
the
as
Americans,
far east as you can go.
Friends to the south. I'd give them the flannel off my back if I'd help them out.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always something you can do to help out. I mean, give them a cup of sugar, some butter,
bake them a pie.
Yeah, bake a pie.
The joke is that we here up in Canada, we really like maple syrup, and we'll give maple syrup people. But I give them a couple maple syrup if they needed it.
Yeah, a jar or two. Yeah, a jar or two. Yeah, I will say that if you're gonna borrow the flannel there, it's only polite to wash it, then give it back. But hey, you might not know this. This is maybe getting like a little too into it, but go ahead and button that flannel up before you wash it, or else it gets all stretched out weird, and it makes you feel. You get body dysmorphia if you put on a flannel that's been washed without the buttons attached. It dries weird and all that stuff. It's tight in the chest, loose in the gut.
Especially if I'm letting you use the Carhartt one, because that's a real good one.
That's a good one, and it's kind of like that spot on the couch you sit in to watch Formula One every Sunday. It's morphed to you. You got a crease. It's creased around your body there.
You got a crease for your butt, you got a spot for your remote, and there's a worn in coconut hole on the armchair.
Yeah, or Labatt Blue, depending on what you drink there. We're not saying one's better than the other, but we all know.
No judging. We're judging if you choose wrong.
Right.
So
moving back over to Japan there, I gotta say that's a pretty neat country. They got a lot of neat stuff going on over there, and
all kinds of real cool statues and
ancient lands.
Trains,
really, they're old. Yeah. Oh yeah, those trains they're pretty quick.
Yeah. The samurais are pretty.
They don't call them bullet trains for nothing, yeah.
No, they don't. Yeah.
No, they don't.
It's ironic because they can't have guns there. Not like the States guys can.
Yeah. Oh, the States.
What'd you call that? The ancient warrior class they got over there? What'd you call those?
Samurais.
Samurais. Yeah. Samurais.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
They carry katanas around.
Yeah, you gotta watch out for those.
No,
ninjas.
Siri, leave me the fuck alone.
You gotta careful how you say that word though, but it is a class of farmer people that turn into assassins, those ninjas or ninjas.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Jake.
That might get you in trouble in some places if you say that.
I really don't see the problem, Dave. So if you could explain to me what's going on. That's just a bit of innocent social commentary. Don't look too far into it.
Bill, I gotta ask, what are you gonna do next season when there's Latifi ain't driving no more? What are you gonna do on Sundays now?
Well, experience less yellow flags, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. Give me less stoppages, less crashes that decide titles. We're gonna have one less paid to play driver.
And gain another one, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, you're not wrong. Probably not rocking the Leaf though. He might be from the States, I think, or one of those other countries that likes to spawn out the drivers. But
Yeah,
he
I
won't be
think,
rocking the Leaf.
They say cross the pond, if you will. No, Siri, fuck off. I'm not tagging you.
Okay, careful when you're talking to Siri there. She's a hardworking gal. She got to listen to your shit all day.
The problem is when I'm talking here, I'm talking to y'all, and we're
Mhm.
having a good conversation. Siri just wants to butt into the conversation as if she's part of it, but she wasn't part of it.
Oh yeah, my phone does that too. Its name is Bixby though, and anything that sounds like Bixby, like beer can, or don't stab me with that knife there when I'm watching my murder mystery shows. She listens and she wonders, and so when you're watching a bunch of true crime stuff and your phone's listening to it, you gotta wonder when the old FBI or those Mounties are gonna be knocking at your door.
It comes up anytime I yell "bitch, please." It sounds like Bixby too.
Right.
And we move forward.
Dave's reaction to the ninja thing.
Dude. Well, I tried to butt in a couple times with my own Canadian, and I got disapproval twice from the wife, who I had to mute because she was laughing so hard.
I kept wait till she listens to the podcast.
I kept slipping into a Midwestern accent. I was a little off there.
She's like, "You sounded Canadian and Asian there. What happened?" I was like, "I don't know."
Asian.
You sounded Canadian.
Oh, Christ.
So, where were we? Anyway, the race is rolling. Where are we at on that?
So we had the restart. We were talking about Lance Stroll, who he did have a really good start. I hate the
He did.
He had a really good start. He played it smart. He knew that the inside of the track was going to be a bit more grippy than the outside, and that's what he went for. And he hung in there.
So he got a really good restart. And go ahead.
Well, so that started the next 30 minutes of the most exciting racing we've seen this entire fucking season. I mean, my God, especially when like it's hard to do laps because when they do the timed races, they don't show laps; they just do time.
So they should do both. I have a split. Give the time left, but also give what lap they're on. That would help.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it would be just kind of fun to know. But I mean, 5 to 7 minutes after we restarted the race, you had Norris and Vettel both pit for inters because they started on the full wets, and they were going fucking hard. And then you had fucking like 2 or 3 minutes later, literally everyone fucking else except for Mick Schumacher in the pits, and Schumacher was second for a lap or two.
Yeah,
like you had 3 different teams double stacking. You didn't have Ferrari double stacking because there's only one car, but almost like there were 3 teams fucking double stacking.
Yeah, I saw that.
To the point where like George Russell had to sit there and wait for a second for Hamilton to get done.
And one of the things I want to say too, and this is back to Latifi because I know we like shitting on him, but he got up in the points, but at this point everyone thought that it was going to be partial points, so he was in 9th place, but he was still going to get 0 points, which I thought would have been really fucking funny. But yeah, the pit stop, like I said, I'm now I'm listening to this on the radio. I'm trying not to look at my phone because I'm driving, but it's like, they keep talking about all this shit. I'm like, holy, there were so many good battles happening on track, and like everyone was getting like double stacking pit stops and shit. And like you were saying, now we had Mick Schumacher in 2nd place, and like it was nuts.
It was completely fucking crazy. And then you had Leclerc, who was fucking killing it with the defense. Well, he was fucking right on Verstappen's tail, but his tires were a little bit older than Verstappen's by a lap or two. And so Verstappen started pulling ahead of him. And I just think that Leclerc went into damage control and was just trying to not get 3rd place.
Yeah,
because he knew that if he got 3rd place, that Verstappen could have potentially win the championship. So he was trying to hold it on there for as long as he could. And Leclerc was properly killing it in the defense of Perez. He was fucking insane.
Yeah, and so much so that he, by the end of the race, Verstappen, I think, was 27 seconds ahead.
He was 27 seconds ahead of second place, which was we'll get to it, but it's Perez. But he was a pit stop and then some ahead, it's fucking insane. But it is definitely helped with the fact that it was wet conditions. Leclerc had no front tires, and he was putting all of his car into keeping Perez behind him instead of attacking Verstappen. I think if this race was in the dry and they had similar age tires, it would have been a lot fucking closer to Verstappen. He would have been able to follow him a lot faster. But it wasn't. This is what we had, and this is going to be. Despite what happened, this is one of Leclerc's best drives of the season, 100%.
Yeah,
that was a good drive for sure.
He did really well, just up until his one little off right at the end.
It was like the second to last corner, and he had no tires. He didn't have any tires 3 laps before this, but he had no fucking tires. Locked that bitch up and he didn't use the escape road. And he stayed in front of Perez, but he left the track, gained an advantage, and came back on the track because he didn't use the escape road as is required. And because of that, he was given a 5-second penalty, which normally is given on the next race or post-race, and they are just given the trophy after the fact. However, this time they chose not to do that for whatever fucking reason. And because of that, we had a very interesting post-race interview. Tyler, do you want to talk about that, given your current uniform?
I will say, as a Max Verstappen fan and as a fan of Red Bull, I am pleased to say that Max Verstappen, because of that 5-second penalty and the fact that they got full points for this race, and all Max had to do was clear Leclerc by 8 points, did so because of the penalty, and is therefore 2-time world champion and the 2022 drivers champion. But it was a little
Red Bull still has some time to some ground to make up to get the constructors championship, so they have not got the double championship yet this season.
No,
but it's looking like they will.
Max wrapped up the drivers championship. The constructors championship could be settled at the next race, but we'll talk about that next week.
Right.
And the battle and then Perez then passed Leclerc. So the battle for second place in the championship is 1 point right now. So it is still a tight race for second place right now.
Let's have a quick drink to Max for winning. We hate to see it, but we have to drink to him. So
he drove fucking phenomenal.
I'm out of beer,
all
so I
year
can't.
Long.
I gotta go get a beer. So I'll just wait till we pause to go get that.
So he drove. It was incredible, the drive he had all year. And then in this race too, they had said a few weeks ago in a news story that I was reading that it's like the game is put Max Verstappen in any place on the grid and see if he can win from there.
Well, and it's really fucked up too if you think about it, because I think this is one of the earliest times in the season that someone's won the championship. Like, I don't know if it's the earliest per se, but it's real close. But I think
the earliest was like 5 races or something, wasn't it? 5 races left.
How many races are left?
4.
No, I think there's 5. This was 6 races. I think there's 5 races left. So there's
we got Coda, Brazil.
Coda, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi. So I think there's 4 races left.
Yeah.
4 races left. But I think that if you really want to look at the achievements of Max Verstappen, you need to minus from that what's left of the races by 2, because he didn't complete the first 2 races. So he got no points. So effectively, with 6 races left, or you have to add to it, with 6 races or 7 races left, he got the drivers championship, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah,
they've been
had he been in those races, you could argue he would have won or got a higher than 10.
Let's say minus those DNFs, he's been dominant all season.
On the warpath all year long. And so
is he going to change his number to 2 now?
I don't know. No, because he's number one. He's still the world champion.
Yeah, but he's got
1.2 maybe.
Yeah.
But it was a little awkward the way he found out because they had gotten out of the cars when they had decided to give Leclerc the podium, or not the podium, the penalty. Right. And so it was like Johnny Herbert, I think it was, doing the interviews, and he was like interviewed Max and then started talking to Sergio Perez, and then was like, oh.
No, it started talking to Leclerc.
Oh, sorry, Leclerc, and then he's like, "Oh, wait, all right, Leclerc's been demoted, so wait, come back over here because you're the drivers' champion, the world champion." And I think there was some confusion going on about the number of points, and I think that's why Max was asking in a cooldown room if he was the champion, because
he asked after he fucking celebrated and kissed his woman, and
after he won the race.
After he
won
he won the race and celebrated, and then he had his interview, and then when they were like, "Oh, you're actually," because it was funny because they had that same, it's like classic Red Bull shit where they're about to talk to Perez, they're about to do something with Perez, and then they go, "Oh, Perez, forget you. Let's talk to Max now because Leclerc just got served a 5-second penalty. He's third. You've won the world championship." And then he's completely celebrated again with his whole fucking team. Only to go to the driver's room and go, "I don't know if I've won or not."
I think it was on the way. He must.
It was kind of confusing.
Something, or someone said something about the points. So I think that because at that point they didn't know if they were, because if they didn't get full points, then he wouldn't have been the champion. But because of something in the rules that I guess was left out after the race in Spa last year, since they started the race and then restarted it, it doesn't go to a partial points breakdown. It's a full scoring race, like full points are awarded. So I just think there was some confusion. They made it really awkward. I don't think it was Max running around being like, "Wait, did I win? Am I the champion? Oh my god, really?"
Yeah, because I thought it had to
he was
be
kind of pandering to the camera.
I just thought a full race for full points has to be half a race plus a lap, right?
Oh, there's like a certain. It's if the race
they changed the whole regs after Spa.
Yeah, it's like if they stop the race early, then that's when it's like a tiered point system. But if they start the race, stop it, and then run till the end, then it's full points, which is exactly what they did here.
But I think that's and we'll do some research on this and we'll talk about it next podcast, like make it fully clear. But I think that when you have from what my understanding is, when you have a timed race instead of a full lap race, you have thresholds you have to meet, and they were like 2 or 3 laps beyond the threshold to give him the bracket of points that he would have needed. So if the same race had been run, but it was 2 laps less than what they did, then he would not have necessarily won the world championship because he would have gotten less points. But because they made it very barely over a certain lap threshold, he was awarded just enough points to get the championship.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was a tad awkward, but regardless, world champion, celebration ensues.
Right. All right. So I am now, because we got to the end of the race, we talked about all that stuff. I'm going to break down your top 10 finishers for this Sazuka wet race.
Yeah.
Very wet race.
Of course, the number 1 spot is Max Verstappen, winning his second world championship. Hopefully, he'll adopt the number 2 on his car, or
to the max.
Yeah, Max to the max. I also made the joke earlier this season that he's going to have to get Perez is going to be forced by team orders to give up his number 2 Verstappen, so Verstappen can have 2 number 1s because number 1 is best, but 2 he has 2 number 1s. Speaking of 2 number 1s, that is second place Perez, and then third place is declared for 5-second penalty. Ocon, where the hell did he come from? Finished 4th place. Hamilton in 5th place, which is usually reserved for his teammate. Vettel coming in 6th place in the top 10 for Vet on his last time at the Sazuka.
That was a fucking close race between him and
Alonso for a few.
Yeah. The finishing time for Vettel was 46 seconds, 3:58 behind Verstappen. Okay, so 46.358. Alonso's finishing time was 46.369.
That's
It
like
is
behind Verstappen.
that's a
fucking
skosh, man.
close.
It is
A
fucking
CH.
close. If the battle between Leclerc and Perez wasn't so fucking intense, then they would have been showing that. But they
Yeah.
didn't because it wasn't as intense. So
Yeah.
moving on. Alonso, the other Ocon finishing seventh. You have Russell, normally is in fifth, now is in eighth. Latifi coming in ninth. Oh my God, he finally has points.
Got some
And
points.
20th in the championship standings right
He's
now.
20th in the championship standings, not 21st. So good for
Back
him.
on the regular grid.
He has the same amount of points as Nick DeVries, who is not a Formula One driver.
That is
And
awesome.
rounding out your top 10 is Mr. Lando Norris coming in 10th place.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Good for him.
So that's your
Although
top 10.
I'd like to see Ricardo in that 10th spot over Norris.
He almost
but
was. He was 11th.
He was 11th.
Finished about
I'd like to see that little
and
flip flop, but
just about 2 seconds behind his teammate there.
yeah.
So that's your top 10. So we are going to now
Oh, sorry.
move on to a very short news section. And then that's gonna pretty much close us out. So we were gonna have it be a little bit longer. We were planning on talking about Verstappen's controversial, quote unquote, win of the championship, but we were going to talk about Gasly and the tractor and ship. We kind of already covered all that, so we're just going to jump straight into the other big news stories that have been coming around, like who got signed where and the cost of money and how much food is expensive.
Cost cap. So
the cost cap. So we're going to shoot over to Tyler because he has more information and all this stuff, and then we'll talk about our opinions on who got signed there.
So we had been covering this for the last couple of weeks. It started, the rumor mill had come out during the race in Singapore about teams that had spent over the cost cap. And so it was rumored that it was Aston Martin and Red Bull. Those rumors were confirmed on Monday. Aston Martin had a very, very, very minor breach. Well, not even minor breach. It was a procedural thing because they just didn't get the paperwork done in time. So they were fined, I think, $25,000 for that. Red Bull has been found to have exceeded the cost cap for their whole operation, which the FIA has. There was two cost caps. There was minor, which was like £5 million, dollars or euros, I don't know exactly how it is, and below was a minor cost breach, and then above 5 million was like a procedural or a major one or something like that. I can't remember exactly what they called it. Red Bull has a minor cost cap breach. So I don't know. The FIA is determining punishment. It could just be like a public reprimand, and I think that might be it. And then they might lose some like wind tunnel testing time in the off season. But it doesn't sound like that. Like Max isn't going to be vacated any championship points or anything like that. So he's still the 2021 World Championship. So all you Lewis Hamilton fans have to calm the fuck down.
Yeah. As soon as I saw minor, I knew that was totally off the table.
So we'll see. Nothing has been. So that the latest release was that just confirming that Red Bull had gone over. I think Christian Horner had said something like, "Oh, well, it's because of catering or something like that." So if you work for Red Bull, you're going to be well fed. I'll put it that way.
Apparently, yeah.
So we'll see in the coming weeks if anything else comes out about that as far as like punishment or any other news or anything like that. But that's all that has really come out. And again, I am trying to give you actual news on this, and I'm not trying to read the,
no, that's
the
good.
rumor corner websites and stuff like that.
So as far as we know, it's they're under $5 million or $5 million and under the cost cap or whatever. They're in that range above.
Yeah, so
they're still in the minor. So I mean, that's why I said, like, once I heard minor, I was like, I knew Max's championship wasn't going to be revoked or anything like that. Probably some kind of other penalties coming towards him.
my guess is it'll be like a fine, or like they will just be known as the team that broke the cost cap, or they'll just lose time in wind tunnel testing or something like that.
That's where
what's going to happen.
I feel like that's where it would hurt them the most. So that's where they should hit them.
And they're already, if they, I mean, it will hurt because if they win the title, they, by the new rules, or the constructors title, they will have the least amount of time in the wind tunnel.
And I mean, I don't know, if you want to really penalize them, I think that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Even if it's minor, I mean, that's, hey, show the other teams like you go over, this is the kind of shit that's going to happen.
Yes.
It's just frustrating that they did go over. I mean, everyone knows what the cost cap is.
Yeah. Especially after Christian Horner convinced me that he did not go over.
Yeah. Christian Horner is a fucking politician, just like every other F1 boss is a politician.
I keep forgetting that they're they're politicians.
Like fucking teams break rules all the time. I was thinking about that
yeah.
today. Like,
absolutely.
Totally. 100%.
Especially in F1, like there was the most recent, Ferrari had gotten in trouble years ago for, they're not exactly certain what they did. It was something to do with their fuel delivery system, but like the FIA didn't release actually what they were doing. I
mean, I still
just said don't do that anymore.
Yeah,
I think I know what they did, but this is just like my personal opinion. I don't think it was a fuel. I mean, they might have said it's a fuel delivery system, but I honestly, for some reason, think that their intake was a larger diameter than what is allowed.
Like the one above their heads, or the one like the side pods,
like straight into the motor, like straight in, because there's a regulation that says how big that can be, and I honestly think that Ferrari's was just a smidge bigger,
just a smidge.
So,
which I guess you could argue is part of the fuel delivery because you're having an oxygen fuel mixture, but I honestly think that was the big thing.
So regardless, I mean, the other example I was going to say was when they were Racing Point at the time. They're obviously Aston Martin now, but they had bought all the information from Mercedes. Like, there are rules, and then teams are finding loopholes and ways to get around the rules.
Or Mercedes, I can't remember what they called it, but like you could push the wheel in and it would change the toe.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So is that
it would mess with the camber of the tires in the front.
I haven't looked into it, but like the people have been talking about, like in 2008 when Hamilton won his first championship, like that was kind of fishy the way that it happened. Like his team was doing something shady that year. So it's sporting. It happens. It happens.
It happens. Yeah. People get away with it. People don't.
Well, I mean, it's been officialized to me, and I'll go ahead and congratulate Max on his championship.
Yeah. So yeah, like more coverage on that as it unfolds, and I'll keep you guys posted.
Word.
All right. Well, let's move on to who's sitting where at what team. So
we got some seats.
We got some seats changing. And this the official F1 release is 4 days old, so I think it's pretty accurate. There's only 2 spots that are still in question, but just to kind of give you guys and listeners who's going to be where as of 4 days ago. Verstappen and Perez are still going to be on Red Bull. Hamilton and Russell are still going to be on Mercedes. And in case you didn't know, I am reading number 1 driver and then number 2 driver.
And I think Hamilton, the rumor is that he's going to have like a 4-year contract extension too.
He says he's ready. He told Toto he had like 4 or 5 more years left in him or whatever.
He wants number 8. I guarantee it.
I really hope he goes for number 10. I would love to see him.
I'd love to see him keep racing. He's fun to watch. Definitely a great driver.
I want him to be the bad guy again. Then we have
now
Bottas.
Max is the bad guy.
I know. I've been rooting for Hamilton way too much this season.
But we have Bottas and Zhao on Alfa Romeo, Tsunoda and De Vries taking over Gasly's spot, Stroll and Alonso taking over Vettel's spot, who's retiring. On the other side, we got Ferrari's got Leclerc and Sainz, Norris and Piastri after that fucking summertime debacle.
And that's a McLaren.
That's a McLaren. Gasly, that's where he's ending up at Alpine. He's gonna be the number 1 driver to Ocon.
2 French drivers on a French team.
Yeah, 2 French drivers on a French team, and they're using Gasly over Ocon as the number 1 driver.
And the 2 French drivers hate each other too.
And they hate each other.
Well,
but that's
French.
They've
talked it over. It's water under the bridge at this point, and they're going to work together moving forward.
Right.
They talk to him each individually, like, "Hey, is this going to be a problem?"
That's not how.
This is a big thing for France. They don't want to let France down. They're going to be team players. They're going to be competitive
on a year.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But as far as their comments, they're Team France. Let's go.
On a year that's not going to have a French GP.
Yeah. Well, because the French GP was shit.
Oh shit.
So at Haas, Magnussen and the other seats up in the air could be Mick could retain his seat at Haas, but another person's kind of chomping at the bits to get in there, and that motherfucker is Nico
Hulkenberg.
That would be pretty sweet to see him back in the car. Right?
I would love to see Hulkenberg back.
For sure. I would love to see him get a fucking podium for once.
Yeah, he won't do it at Haas, though.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, no shit. But if he gets in at Haas, then he might get a shot somewhere
steps
else.
forward.
Yeah, that gets this huge German fucking foot in the door, and he'll be able to hit the gas pedal.
Plus, he's a good charismatic guy out on.
He's a really good guy. Yeah. I fucking love Hulkenberg. He was on. There was Germany like 3 years ago. He was on cue to win, and he fucking spun out like the last minute, and not to win, but he was on pace to be getting a podium. It was the same race that had both the Mercedes crash out and Leclerc in the Ferrari. And Hulkenberg was on the road to getting his first F1 podium. He fucking crashed out. That poor bastard. And then we have Albon racing for Williams, and still no word on who's going to end up in Latifi's seat. But
that was
I totally thought it was going to be De Vries, but
no, and that just makes the thing that I was talking about in the last podcast even more funnier. Of like, so you had De Vries come in and race for Williams and scoring the points, and then they told Latifi, like, all right, you're fucking done, thinking that Williams was going to hire De Vries. But then De Vries goes there to do with like a different team, so it's a double fuck you. So it's like, okay, like you're fired, and we're not even going to fucking replace you with the guy that did better than you. You're just fucking fired.
You're just fucking straight fired. Well, so I there's a little breakdown about De Vries's like F1 quote unquote career so far. And he started off by doing a free practice in a Williams car. Then he did a free practice in a Mercedes car. And then he did a free practice in an Aston Martin car. So that was the first free practice was in Spain at Barcelona. And then he was free practice.
Is this all this year?
Yeah, this year at Paul Ricard in France. And then he did a free practice one in Imola, and then he did a free practice, or he had his race debut on Williams at Monza, and then he signs for AlphaTauri. So he has been to 4 different fucking race teams this year.
But I always thought he was like a junior driver kind of guy, but he won a couple championships, didn't he? In other
he was an FP2 champion, and then I think he did Formula E also.
I know he was a Formula E champion. I didn't know he did well, I guess he going up the ranks, you're gonna hit Formula 2.
Got to. But yeah, so he's one to watch out for. It should be a lot of fun next season, and we'll definitely give you guys like our next season whatever thoughts later in life when next season's happening.
Yeah, so we've got a few races to go.
We got a few we got this season to talk about still, so we're gonna keep on that.
Yeah, we got there's a handful more races, and then Max has the possibility of beating the record for most wins in a season.
Most wins.
most wins. So I think the record shut up. It's tied between Vettel and Schumacher right now for, I believe, 13. And Max Verstappen has 12. So if he wins the next 2 races, then he will beat that record.
Well, you know he's going to do that.
But I hope that
Very
maybe
possible.
he slows it down a little bit and maybe gives Checo a home win in Mexico. But we'll talk about it when we get to Mexico.
Yeah,
I don't see Max giving anybody any slack.
He helped Danny Rick at one point back when they were on the.
What was that, like his first year with Red Bull?
I mean, he's got the championship. I mean, if he beats that record, then like at that point
Yeah,
they will
that's
have
true.
secured like the drivers' championship or the constructors. So
So
Help
even
your
though he's won the
teammate.
world championship, if he lets Checo win by letting him pass, then he's just going to come back to a father who is throwing shit into a van and driving away without him.
Well, you know what? Fuck his dad. Max is perfectly capable of taking care of himself with millionaire.
He's a 2-time world champion. Him and Kelly Piquet, or however the fuck you pronounce her last name,
PK.
Like PK, they'll just charter a flight home together. I mean,
Yeah. How many world champions does Joss have?
Jos.
None. I don't even think he ever made it on the podium.
No.
He made it into he put his butt in the car, and that was pretty much it. We wouldn't know about Jos Verstappen if he didn't catch on fire. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
No one would know his name if he didn't catch on fire.
I think he's par with Latifi on points. So
yeah, no shit. But that was
you
over
do not want to be on par with
fuck Jos
like,
Verstappen. Go
but
Max.
Jos Verstappen career was like fucking 10 years, and Latifi's was 3. So
yeah.
Right. So he's worse than Latifi.
Exactly.
I mean,
But he
Latifi's
caught
never
on
caught
fire,
on fire.
so-
Yeah.
I bet he'll beat the shit out of Latifi though. That's
I mean,
one
maybe
thing,
his blood pressure might be get too high from the bacon he eats, and he just
That's
would,
another
keel
thing.
over.
Another thing that Max could have said in his childhood and actually meant it, which is, my dad can kick your dad's ass. And he can probably still fucking say that.
There's a lot of
dad's a
dads
psycho.
out there with a lot of skills and shit. He could say, my dad has a felony, and
Yeah.
my dad has choked another man before, but
My dad and my grandpa beat the shit out of someone before.
yeah. Did you know I had a second stepmom?
Do you know I got a brother who's like 2 years old?
Right. Oh,
anyway.
okay. So yeah, I think at that point we are going to go ahead and wrap it up. This has been the Tire Preference Podcast. I have been
It has
Jake.
been.
That's Dave. And
Hello.
I've been sitting here with Tyler talking about shit too. So
I-
thank you all for listening. And
Thank you.
you can go ahead and look up this wonderful podcast on the current platform you're watching on YouTube at the Tire Preference Pod, or you can look it up on Twitter at the Preference Pod at Preference Pod. You can find me at the Red Kennedy and on Instagram at the Red Kennedy 45. You can follow Tyler at
T.K.66 on Instagram.
and that's pretty much it. You can follow Dave.
You can find me at Maximal_Dave at the Instagrams, and also featuring next Friday on the Instagrams. And that's about it. And we're gonna start just putting these in the comment section or whatever, the description or something, so we don't have to keep plugging ourselves every week.
Yeah, we can still do it though. So yeah, I think it is a good idea to link him in the description so the whatever. We can talk about that off camera when it's more appropriate.
Yeah.
I guess.
But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, drop a comment, even if you're just commenting a number, like comment your favorite number. We're just the more comments are better. So whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
And
Comment the whole whatever comment you have. Each comment a letter in each one, so it's
yeah.
very
Mom,
long.
can you do that for us, please?
Yeah.
She
but
will
then
too.
comment the actual
Yeah.
question so we don't have to struggle to read it like a crossword puzzle. But yeah, thanks again, you guys, for listening. And I'm gonna go ahead and say keep within track limits.
Just hammer it. Hit the gas like you're fucking Carlos Sainz, and you're gonna hit a puddle, and you're just gonna spin out.
Well,
Or hit
you
the
wanna-
gas like you're Charles Leclerc, and you're just handing the championship away.
Damn it. Well,
yeah, if only
What-
Max could win a championship in a clean manner.
what?
That's goddamn it. I was fucking hoping
He
for
had
that.
he has to win championships that other people fucking up.
Yeah, that's true.
It was.
And we're gonna leave it at that. Dave, sign off.
Hit your breaking points. Don't crash into the wall.
All right, you fucking jerks. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. Peace out. Love
Goodbye.
y'all.